Thank you, Bethany and MR. Beautiful way to start our day. And good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. And welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Urbana-Champaign. My name is Reverend Karen Bush, and I serve as the interim lead minister here with UUCUC, alongside our congregational minister, the Reverend Sally Fritchie. And it is on behalf of both of us that we say good morning and welcome to worship. Whether this is your first time with us on a Sunday or your umpteenth time, whether you're here in the sanctuary or watching at home, maybe in your pajamas online, we're glad you're with us and know that this service is here for you. Wherever you are on life's journey, know that you are welcomed here. And may you find in our time together something that you need. We come from many backgrounds. Some of us are refugees from the world of Orthodox religion. Others are looking for an alternative to the soulless consumerism that has become the dominant religion of our time. Still others are parents, grandparents, educators, or activists who have a vision of a better world. We are a church of many different theologies and identities, who values deeds above creeds, and who are united by our shared commitments to building community, seeking inspiration, promoting justice, and finding peace. We are a congregation of all ages, and that means we embrace all the little noises and soft whispers and giggles and disruptions that our kids can bring on a Sunday morning, and we love that here. So whatever your age, you are invited to be at your ease and relax during our time together. Now, I'm happy to share, it's not subtle if you look around, that after several years of mandatory Mass here at UUCUC, beginning today, assuming the COVID positivity rate stays medium or low, Mass will no longer be required during our worship services. That being said, Mass will always be very welcomed, anytime and anywhere in the building. Should rates go back into high positivity, then at that time we will ask the congregation to follow the Act Now public health guidelines, which has consistently taught that during high positivity, Mass should be worn indoors in group situations like ours. It won't be mandatory, but we will ask, let's together do this. No matter the positivity rate, the need to be sensitive and caring of those around us who may be living with vulnerabilities that we are not is a UU value that we will hold fast to always. We want to emphasize the importance of paying particular attention to any red lanyards with us being worn in our midst, as we acknowledge there may be a number of reasons beyond COVID that an individual might ask for a clear boundary of personal space to be honored and kept. Today is our kickoff Sunday for the 2023 Generosity Campaign here at UUCUC. Break out the cheers. This is an important season. Yes. Where each week we will have a special speaker who will guide and inspire us. And today, Janet Revell Barrett will kick us off with a reflection from her heart after Jenny Hunt has a few words as one of the co-leaders with Karen Folk. And she will speak from her heart to ours later in the service. And we welcome and thank you. The theme of today's service is on dreams and legacies. The legacy of our UU forebears, our own dreams, and what legacy do we want to leave? Legacy on which the children of today, tomorrow, and beyond tomorrow can bank on for their future. And so I will share a favorite quote again that I shared a few Sundays ago by teacher scholar Forrest E. Whitcraft, who wrote, 100 years from now, it will not matter what my bank account was, or what sort of house I lived in, or what kind of car I drove, but the world may be different because I was important in the life of a child." Unquote. This fact was of high value to the early UUs in Champaign County in the mid-1800s, a very high value. In fact, it was for the sake of the children in the community for which the first UU organization in Champaign County was formed. Did you know that? A history Reverend Sally will be sharing a little bit about later in this service. The future is in the hands of the children who walk into the future most of us here will never see. And so it is imperative that we keep our congregation vibrant and strong and keep our eyes on the high ideals of our forebears and our feet on the path of our UU 8 principles and our congregation's strategic plans, which you can find on our website. For our sake and for the world's sake in this one precious life, but most of all, for the sake of the children of today and of the future, for they are the ones among us who are the light bearers of tomorrow. Each Sunday, we gather as a community of seekers to honor the interdependence of life, to respect the dignity of all, and to honor the land we walk on. Together, we acknowledge that here on Green Street, we worship upon the traditional territories of the Kaskaskia, the Miamia, the Bodwag-Mila, the Kickapoo, the Peoria, and the Ochi-Sakowin, the original nations of this land. People who cry out for justice and self-determination, even to this day. And so with these thoughts, let us move into worship, being willing to be authentic with each other, honest within ourselves, and open to connection in all its forms. Now, this morning, we are giving a special welcome to the newest members of our congregation. And on January 21st, 10 newcomers to UUCUC participated in Pathway to Membership class, and 8 signed the book to become official voting members. And we are delighted they chose us to be their church family. We can check out the most recent e-news for short introductions to Danny, Ian, Becky, Duncan, Allison, Roy, and Erica, our newest cohort of members. And now we have a short welcome slideshow where you can see their faces and know who to say hello to in this special way when you run into each other in fellowship hall or church events. For our beautiful music. We are living into post-COVID times, and one of the ways is to bring back and move forward the tradition of this congregation during different generations, and that is to stand and greet your neighbor. So would you just simply stand, and we call it, in my tradition, passing the peace. You can say peace, you can say hello and howdy do, but just stand where you are and turn
sit close to the mic. You go right here. Wherever Unitarian Universalists gather together, we light a flaming chalice, symbol of our faith tradition, the flame of hope in the cup of sharing, the spark of individuality in the circle of community. In lighting this flame, we mark out our time together as something special and invite each other to gather into its circle of warmth and light. If you're watching from afar, you might join us in lighting a candle or a chalice of your own. And we'll light our chalice with these words from Black American poet Langston Hughes, written in 1922. He writes, "Hold fast to dreams, for if dreams die, life is a broken-winged bird that cannot fly. May this chalice flame challenge each of us to cherish our dreams, for all things worth doing begin in the courage and inspiration of a dream."
Just learning numbers, or you can say numbers so fast it's not even funny. So you're gonna help me. Selena, can you wave? See back up there? That's Selena, and she is really special, and she takes care of our church in all kinds of ways. And so you're gonna help me. We're gonna call out to Selena when it's time for the next slide. So some people can watch on screen, but you're going to have a special thing. This is number 1. She already knew that one. And this is a picture of the shyest baby that was ever born. Doesn't her face look a little, and it is a girl, you know? She could have been a boy. She could have been fluid, so she'd be a they. But she happens to be a girl in her own identity. And I want to tell you, doesn't she look a little nervous? Does that look like a worried baby? What do you think? And Tesla here, you guys all got to know Tesla. If you don't, you need to go say hello. She's my friend and my helper. So the next one is can you see that pink? Number 2. Call out. 2. They're real loud. There you go. This is where this little baby grew up, out on the prairie. You like that? It's a very old picture. She had horses later, but this picture came when they had their horses. When she was a baby, they didn't have them yet. But she didn't have, believe it or not, they didn't have much TV. They had to put tinfoil on these rabbit ears and stick them on this huge, heavy box that weighed as much as a car. And then she only had Saturday morning cartoons. I know, but she had the wind, and she had the stars, and she had the sun and the clouds, and she had the birds and the bunnies and crickets that were her friends. I know, rabbit ear, bunny ears. So that's where she grew up out, and here's a picture what it looks like today. And this is where Tim, who takes care of us with our building in so many ways, lives with his babies and his family. So he's not that baby though. So you can see the prairie, how far it is. And that's where she lived, growing and playing. No neighbors, but all kinds of wilderness to play with. And this is the lane she walked down every day to go catch the school bus, a quarter mile long. I thought you might find that interesting. Oh, I forgot to ask. Number 4. Sorry, Selena. Number 4. I'm not doing very good having you kids. So shall we tell her ready? Number 5. You can see, though, she was still a very shy child. This is at 4 years old. She was the shyest, and she had all kinds of nervous feelings. Do you ever feel shy? Do you ever feel nervous? Do you sometimes? So did she. She did every day. When she wasn't on the farm. But she had dreams. Do you have dreams? Can someone tell me a dream? What's a dream you have? That people will treat animals nicer. You can hunt. They can hunt to feed their families out of need. Thank you. Yes. What a dream. People be nice. Yeah. Oh, I like. What about for your life? When you want to be when you grow up? Does anyone thought about that? What do you want to be when you grow up? Yes, Theo. Oh, park ranger. It might look like that only a little bit. Only more. It's more trees. Park ranger. Thank you. Yes. Vera. Someone being nice, giving animals food. Your parents are that. No, that's wonderful. I love that dream. Yes. Yes. You want to be a teacher. Beatrice wants to be a teacher when she grows up. Oh, yes. You want to be a girl when you grow up? You can be, that's something that is definitely an option. I'll tell you what. Yes, absolutely. Anyone else a dream before we move on? A dream that you have for your life that you want to be when you grow up? Yes. A what? A rugby player. Major League Baseball player. I want to make sure I can come see that. So we're going to move this along, and it's number 6. She had her brothers and sisters. She was a little sister here, and later she became a big sister to 3 other people. Does anyone here have a big brother or sister? Are you the oldest? Who has a big brother or sister? You're the oldest. I see hands. And who's a little brother or sister? Little brother or sister. I don't know about you, but this girl found that her brothers and sisters were wonderful to help her being shy. Because she wondered about her life. How in the world was she going to do when she grows up, because she was so scared all the time when she left the farm. And she was so shy. If a grown-up started to talk to her, she'd just freeze up. Do you ever feel that way? No, I didn't think so, but she sure did. She sure did, and if you do, just know you're not alone. Number 7. This is her with her grandma. She looks a little cranky there, if you ask me. Looks a little cranky, but her grandma, in terms of, she thought about her dreams, and she had her grandma, number 8. Her grandpa were 2 people in her life that really encouraged her. When you think about who encourages you, who kind of helps you feel better about yourself? Yes. Dada. Yes. Mama. Your guardian. Yes. Our guardians. Oh, yes. Number 9. This is her daddy with her brother and sister, who both grew up to be doctors, by the way. She didn't. She there's wondering, she's cranky thinking about what her life is going to be. And then, did I have that picture twice? No, okay, good. Number 10. Here she is with her mama later in life. Now you probably know who the little baby is, but don't tell anybody. That's her with her mama. She was a mama's girl. And then she went to church as a little girl, number 11. This is her church called Philo Presbyterian Church, where she ran around and screamed and giggled and then sat and listened and was bored sometimes. But the people in that church talked about things that, even though it didn't look like she was paying attention, she was paying attention. Only thing is, they left that church because her parents didn't believe in the Vietnam War, and this church didn't agree. So they left, and they went to number 12. this church. And just, this church is McKinley Presbyterian. I'm not selling the church. I'm just saying this is a church where even though she thought she was bored sometimes, she had her friends and she heard things. And you know what she heard? She heard that everyone is equal. And she heard that boys and girls and everyone can do anything they want. In her day, there are a lot of things that she was told by society she couldn't do because she was a girl. But her church told her, you can do anything. Do you ever hear that at your church? That you, Zara says no. Do you ever hear that everyone matters and that we are supposed to take care of everybody? Well, this is just a picture of her. This is number 13. We're going to move a little faster here. This is her first dream come true that she worked for was to be a cheerleader at Uni High. Her shyness started to melt away. And when you think of your dreams and you think of things that you might think you ever can't do, I know if you ever have memories of that, or maybe you feel that way now, that sometimes if we can take step by step and keep going, before we know it, we're doing what we thought we'd like to. So that shy girl with her church supporting her and her grandma and her grandpa and her mom and her dad, and I hope this isn't just too narcissistic, but that's the risk, is she became something she thought, she never heard of a girl ever doing this. She didn't know any other person doing this at her age. She became an ordained minister. Her one picture of just her taken on the day of her ordination at 27 years old. That was number 14. I'm late on that. And this is her today. So, I think we're going to skip on through to a picture I wanted to show. The big thing of her dream was she wanted to stop bullies. That's something that she saw some things happen. She heard her parents talk. She wanted to stop bullies. And she didn't know how she was going to do that. So she knew she needed to get some power behind her. So she became an ordained minister. And she stopped some bullies. She stopped some bullies so that people who love each other, this is number 20. So some people that love each other could get married. And she was one of the first people in Champaign County to ever do that. And she didn't do it because she was so proud. She did it because she wanted to stop the bullies. And then she married her prince. This is number 16. Selena is so patient with me. She married her prince, and they had, this is number 17, 2 babies, because she wanted to be a mommy too. That's something she knew by age 6. And then we're just going to go on to, she wanted to speak, and we're going to go to number 21. We'll be patient for, because Reverend KB is just, we'll wait, because Reverend KB's jumping around. Yes, number 20. This is not a picture where Reverend KB is at. But Reverend KB spoke one time to 18,000 people, and she went around the world talking about stopping bullies. Stopping bullies. And so this is a picture to symbolize that. And then finally, we're going to jump ahead to the day 22. She got to do the wedding of her own baby boy. And I want you to think about, I'm sharing all this because I want you to imagine the dreams that you might have for your life and to say no matter how shy, how scared you might get, I want you to think about this little baby who was the shyest baby ever born and how people helped her and her church helped her to believe that she could do something. And she went on with all their support. We're going to 23, and then we're going to end with 29. Oh, no, not 29. I probably should just stuck with it, but I'm getting impatient with it. We're going to go to 23, and this was the last team of students she took on a work trip. She took students every year on trips. She wanted to break their hearts and teach them about bullies and what the power they have in this life they can do. And that's something you need to I want you all to remember, that wherever you feel, you have power, that you can make a difference in the world. And then finally, 27, the last picture. She came to, where is this, dudes? Anyone know? She came to this place, not because there were bullies, because it was a church that said, come be with us for a little while, because we don't like bullies either. And we want to make a difference in this world. And our kids want to make the world a better place. So I want to tell you, whatever your dreams, as you get a little older, you hang on to them. And your church and your family and all of us here are going to be with you to support you. Your dreams really matter, whatever age you're at. To believe in them and to dare to try, okay? Thank you, everybody, and thank you, Tesla. Thank you, Selena. Oh, this is Boo, grandbaby. I thought I'd throw that in there. The children may now go forward, if you would like to, with your teachers and do work and learn and play and grow and have fun in ways that are really important.
While the children are leaving, we're going to sing hymn number 1051, and for time's sake, we'll repeat the first page, and then we won't repeat the middle section, and we'll repeat the last phrase 2 times. So please stand if you are able to sing 1051. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage and fathers of time. We are daughters of dust and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy and brothers of love. We are lovers of life and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are.
Thank you. Be seated. Each Sunday here at UUCUC, we make space to share the joys and sorrows closest to our hearts. We usually take a pause with music to give everyone time to write down any personal joys or sorrows they're carrying and wish to share, either on a card or in an email message sent to joysandsorrows@uucuc.org. Then I'll read out those shared messages so that we can celebrate each other's joyful news and support each other's griefs. During the pause, while folks are writing and music is playing, those who wish to can also come forward and silently light a candle here on our altar table or at the table near the center of the sanctuary. Together we'll hear our blessing song, Long Time Son, and while we listen and sing, you're invited to write the joys and sorrows you would like to share. And if you wish to, come forward to light a candle and leave your card in the basket. If you didn't get enough time to come up and light your candle, you're still invited to do so while I speak and begin to share the joys and sorrows of this community. From Jennifer Lawton, please send positive energy and love to my 74-year-old father as he had total hip replacement surgery last Tuesday. We're hoping for a quick recovery that will enable him to teach his grandkids how to play tennis this summer. A joy from Deborah Carplus. I'm so proud of my daughter writing and publishing her third children's book, Robotastic Sleep Mode, written by Sari Carplus, is now available for purchase. From Pat McClard, remembering my dad on what would have been his 87th birthday. This one doesn't have a name, but it's written for a young friend who finished chemo, praying for many, many years cancer-free for her. A sorrow. My mother is recovering in skilled nursing facility, occupational therapy and physical therapy, so she can come home. No name. From Tanya Hodges. I unexpectedly lost one of my dearest friends this week. Mary Sue Shea passed away quietly in her sleep. She was a shining light in this world, and she will be sorely missed. From Paul Kaiser. Joy that my sister can still lean on me from 2,000 miles away. From Beth S. Great sorrow for Jen Angel, who has passed. And we light one more collective candle in grief and recognition for the lives lost this past week in the earthquake striking Turkey and Syria. Our whole earth is connected, and may we keep our hearts open to all those who need the love and connection that we feel with each other. For all the joys and sorrows that remain unspoken, may they be held by this community even in silence. May you know that you're part of something, a network of love connecting you to everyone who gathers here, to everyone beyond these walls. May you feel held up and supported by that love in every way that you need most. I invite you to take this next moment of quiet prayer or meditation to find your own center, find your own words, asking for what is needed in this moment. As the music plays, let us breathe together and rest in the stillness. We, as Unitarian Universalists, know that our circle of care doesn't stop at our church doors. We are deeply connected to the community we find ourselves in and to the wider world. Please continue to keep an eye on your e-news weekly newsletter for opportunities to show up, to find support, get involved, and be part of this community. If you have any interest in what goes into maintaining this physical space that we all share, this building, the gardens, the classroom spaces, this historic 100-year-old plus sanctuary and bell tower, or if you're interested in learning more about accessibility and how to make our church home more fully welcoming to people who use mobility aids or have specific sensory needs, the Building and Grounds team and the accessibility team want to hear from you. It's time for us to all start having some big talks about our space and what the future holds for us. So come talk to me after the service if that's something that you can see yourself taking part in. This is the first Sunday of our generosity campaign, a month-long effort to make plans and budget for the coming church year. We are an entirely self-funded organization, and every year we ask our members to make a financial pledge, a best effort prediction of how much you'll be able to contribute over the course of the coming year. Those numbers let us decide on our budget for the next year, how big we can dream, how ambitious we can be. Each Sunday for the next month will feature a member of the church speaking a bit about their relationship to pledging and their appreciation for all we've been able to do through the power of this community's collective generosity. This week, first, I'll invite our board vice chair, Jenny Hunt, to come forward and give a brief introduction before we hear from Janet Ravel-Barrett.
Good morning. As Reverend Sally said, I am the vice chair of your Board of Trustees this year, but this morning, switch hats, I am up here as the co-chair of this year's generosity campaign. This is an exciting time. This is an exciting year that we're looking forward to. Our programs are growing. You have said in various surveys what you want in programs, in staff, in activities. Well, you know what? This takes two things. One of two things, maybe both. It takes volunteers to help us get there, and unfortunately, it takes money. We've got to have the resources to carry out what you have told us you want to have happen. So this year we're kicking it off. Our first speaker is going to be Janet Ravel-Barrett, where'd that come from? As co-chair of our search team. So she's going to try and get us excited about what this new time is going to mean. After the service, every Sunday of campaign pledge, we're going to have a table in Fellowship Hall with 2 people that will be sitting there with computers, ready to help you if you need help with an online pledge or to answer questions. So just real quickly, because I see we have a number of sort of newer people. Kathy and Jerry, could I have you stand up real quick so they know who they're looking for? Yay! And there's a big sign on the front of the table, okay? So please stop by if you have any questions, and now I'll hand it over to Janet. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. Make yourself useful as well as ornamental. Repeat that with me. Make yourself useful as well as ornamental. I heard that phrase so many times as a child, usually when I had my nose in a book or was pounding away at the piano and there was work to be done. And in adulthood now, you know how sometimes you look back on the messages you received in childhood and you think, I really internalized that. And every time I say yes to some opportunity or some request or some invitation, I think, boy, I really took that to heart. Make yourself useful as well as ornamental. Oh, wait a minute, I'm on the wrong page, hang on. I don't have a lot of pages, you'll be glad to know. So last spring, I was asked to make myself useful by agreeing to serve on the Settled Search team, the process whereby UUCUC works with the UUA Transitions Office in a complicated and sustained search process for a new settled minister. When I said yes, I had no idea how complicated it was. Serving on the team feels like the equivalent of a graduate course in what it means to be a Unitarian Universalist and what it means to be a settled minister. And I'm grateful for the other members of the graduate seminar who are helping with this. Through the survey and the cottage meetings last fall, I came to understand and more fully appreciate how engaged our members are in so many aspects of participation and service in this congregation. We practice the generosity of time, which is so important to set aside. The number of persons who volunteer to contribute to the work of this church in whatever way, and there are always new ways, and also through members' enduring commitments, the people who've been on the path of a particular part of this service for many, many months, many, many years, even decades. All of that is truly humbling when you think about the generosity that's expressed through our volunteers of time. Through reviewing applications with the search team, I've come to learn more also about the scope and the varieties of ministerial work. This review complements what I've already learned by witnessing the ministry of Reverend KB and Reverend Sally, who've helped us through this difficult transitional time in the past few years, and they have done so much behind the scenes that is, for the most part, not visible to the rest of us. As our church life was disrupted, they glued together many different things so that the ongoing work of this church would endure. I know you feel a sense of anticipation, as we all do, to greet a ministerial candidate later this spring during candidating week, which we'll say more about in the schedule later. But our congregation's support for our ministers enables them to integrate all the complementary and complex dimensions of their work. And this is what I've learned. It's not only worship planning and preaching that's so visible to us, but it's looking after the spiritual development of the congregation, pastoral care, participation in ecumenical events, actions on the front lines of social justice, and through countless ongoing interactions of care and integrity with everyone here and those outside this sanctuary. We recognize that our ministers are held up and supported by other staff members who work for this church in the areas of administration and management, facilities and operations, religious engagement and exploration, musicianship, and audio-visual support that makes what we do here possible and accessible to others outside this immediate context. So the generosity of funds is so critical for this, in addition to the generosity of time. We have ambitious plans, and I'm reminded of that every time I look at the posters in Fellowship Hall that state who we hope to become and who we think we are becoming. As the pledge campaign emphasizes, we're reconnecting after the dislocation of the pandemic. And as we do so, we intensify our commitments to social justice and creating a religious community that can sustain these ambitious efforts. As a member of the search committee, I just feel this sense of importance and responsibility and kind of urgency that we'll be able to sustain these efforts, and particularly to support both our new settled minister and associate minister as the foundations for it all, as well as the staff and programs and initiatives of the church. So as you consider increasing your financial commitment as continuing members, or taking the leap to pledge for the first time as you're able, think about how you play a crucial part in realizing these goals. There's nothing wrong with being ornamental, but your pledge for 2023 and 2024 will support our ministers, staff, members, initiatives, and programs in ways that align with our values. That's what makes us UUs. Your generosity is in direct response to the dynamic and vital ways that Unitarian Universalism calls all of us to make ourselves useful in the world. So thank you in advance for your pledge.
Beautifully said, Janet. Each Sunday, not just during pledge season, we honor our values by taking time to pass the plate, take a collection, and then share our offering with an organization doing the work of justice in the world. For our February Sundays, we're sharing our plate with DREAM, a local nonprofit that works to empower young people in underserved communities in finding academic success and meaningful career paths. DREAM provides direct aid, trauma-sensitive family programs, and early intervention for kids in high-risk situations. You can give by text or through the online portal on our website, or if you're here in the sanctuary, the basket will be passed and checks can be made out to UUCUC. Half of what you give will go towards sustaining the work of this church, half will go directly to DREAM. We invite you to give whatever is generous for you, and know that anything you contribute is gratefully received and will be put to use, making a real impact for people who need it right here in our neighborhood. The basket will now be passed.
I close my eyes and I can see a world that's waiting up for me, that I call my own. Through the dark, through the door, through where no one's been before, but it feels like home. They can say it all sounds crazy. They can say I've lost my mind. I don't care, so call me crazy. We can live in a world that we design. 'Cause every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head, a million dreams are keeping me awake. I think of what the world could be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. Oh, a million dreams for the world we're gonna make.
I could hear that song every Sunday. No promises, but just saying, we might hear it again in the future. Our reading this morning is a blast from the past, excerpts from A History, the Unitarian Universalist Church of Urbana-Champaign, Illinois, written and published by members of this congregation. It reads, "The history of the Universalist Church in Urbana reveals the dedication of a group of religious people to a common cause. Through innumerable difficulties brought about by financial depressions, droughts, and wars, this small group managed to survive. The folk who started the Universalist Church began with a Sabbath school in 1958. It met in at least 3 different public buildings, not far from the courthouse that young Abraham Lincoln had visited in the 1840s and 1850s while riding the circuit of the 8th Judicial District. As the University of Illinois grew, it attracted scholars from the East Coast where Unitarianism was centered. It was inevitable that a Unitarian church should spring up near the campus as well. A better perspective of some of these times is obtained when one realized that the Civil War was just a year away when this church was being founded. The community had not yet been selected as the site for the Illinois Industrial University, which began its official existence in 1868. In 1868, Urbana and Champaign had a combined population of less than 5,000. And the Urbana community had taken unusual interest in contemporary religion. The Reverend W.W. King and Reverend T.C. Eaton, both Universalist preachers, came through Urbana every month or so, preaching in various homes, on the courthouse lawn, and occasionally in a store building. A Universalist Sabbath day school was started by Reverend Eaton in July 1858, and children were being taught the then liberal, radical, Universalist viewpoint. Travel was by horse and buggy over unpaved roads, so that a round trip of 20 miles to church was an all-day journey for the faithful. The starting of the Sunday school indicated the high priority placed on an unfettered religious training for the children of the community.
I've been preaching for about 43 years, and this sermon I'm about to share really stands out in my heart, and I give it to you in hoping it will touch yours. And this whole service has been such a pleasure and inspiration to put together. Jerry, C., thank you for meeting with me about the history, and thank you, Reverend Sally, and everyone for your support. Are you ready to hear a sermon? We're going to go over. If you need to leave, we'll understand. This has been a packed service, but it's a potent one for us. On the future of our church, looking to the history, what the visions were and where we're going forward. So if you need to stretch, it's going to be about a 15-minute sermon. Forget I said that now and be present with me. You're like thinking, oh, crap. No. Be present with me, and let's dream a dream together, shall we? I was recently reading an article that was looking over this past year and the war in Ukraine. A reflection that was purposely lifting up stories of courage and heroic compassion, of neighbor taking extraordinary risks for neighbor again and again. And I was reminded of a person I read about some years ago, Vedran Smailovich, who came to be known as the cellist of Sarajevo. In the spring of 1992 was one of the last bakeries still able to make bread in Sarajevo had a long line out the door as usual, stretching far out into the street. And at 4 p.m, a shell hit directly into that line, that bread line, and 22 people were instantly killed. Vedran Smilovic lived nearby. Before the war, he had been the principal cellist of the Sarajevo Opera and quoted once as sharing that it was a distinguished and civilized life and one to which he deeply and patiently longed to return. When he saw the carnage that day outside his window, he was pushed beyond his capacity to absorb and endure anymore, and he resolved to do the thing that he could do best. And so every day thereafter, at 4 p.m, Vedran put on his full formal concert attire, took up his cello, and walked out of his apartment into the battle raging around him. He placed a small stool in the blood-stained, glass-splintered crater where the shell had landed, and every day for 22 days, he played Albinano's Adagio as tribute to the 22 dead. Snipers fired at him, mortar shells fell all around him, which miraculously missed, and still he played on. To the abandoned streets, the smashed trucks, the burning buildings, and to the terrified people still hiding in cellars who heard him and were listening. As we listen now. Vedran played concerts elsewhere after that, including in the middle of the ruins of the beautiful National Library, and now he lives in Belfast, Ireland, where he plays in Irish streets and Irish craters and all around the world. I heard and saw him once in an interview and was surprised to see he was an ordinary person and an extraordinary cellist. An extraordinary cellist, but an ordinary person with long hair, cowboy boots, joking, friendly, a regular guy, not at all otherworldly, except for this way he chooses to live up his life, to spend it. In Sarajevo, he left a legacy, but in a strange container. There was no grand stage, no one even knew who he was at first. And music is fleeting. Notes are heard only for a second and only by a few. And yet the power of the gesture carries on. This cellist is just an ordinary person, but his passion lingers, his courage, his defiance, his imagination, his playfulness, his art, his intention, all of these live on. The container for the generosity he gave, the legacy he offers, is memory. And when memory fades, when everyone who knows this story finally dies, it will become something else, a part of people's way of being, a part of humanity's humanity. Such for us is immortality. Years before, his father, a famous violinist, founded a family ensemble called Musica ad hominem, music for the people, and he brought his children, including young Vedran, to play in poor villages and neighborhoods all over Yugoslavia, bringing live classical music to people who otherwise would hear none. And his father's compassion, generous spirit still lives on in a legacy. through his children's lives and choices and beyond. A legacy that has given hope through music to countless individuals. A legacy he could not have dreamed of, or the people he would never know. In an interview once, Samalabek said, "I worry. I am afraid. Are you? But it is not enough just to pray to whatever God for a better future. It is necessary that we take urgent, healthy action to return ourselves to the beauty of a life without fear." Healthy, urgent action that is both creative and generous restores our lives to beauty, even if, and especially if, that action involves courage. When you were a child, what did you wonder about your future life? What fears, what hopes, what dreams were yours? When you reflect back over the years, who encouraged you, nurtured you? Who was a role model for you? Believed in you, cheered you on, and whose legacy inspired you and gave you vision for what life might be and your place in this world? Whose generosity of time and energy, of tangible support helped you as you were growing up, and whose kindness and love lifted you up, provided some sense of a safety net, some security as you dared to reach and to explore, to try, and to be courageous in new beginnings and unknown steps. A few minutes ago, Reverend Sally read from a book written on the history of this congregation, a story of dreams, of hardships, of courage, a story of legacies passed down through the centuries to us here, today, in 2023. Ours is a movement that from its first beginnings has survived and thrived on the edge of risk, that was born out of dreams that demanded courage, creativity, and generosity from generation to generation. For over 300 years in this country and much longer in Europe, Unitarian Universalism has been part of a liberal religious tradition that has to some extent defines itself in terms of risk, of courageous acts and choices, of living on the edge, the frontier, the fringe. From its earliest incarnations as the far left wing of the Radical Reformation, when to dissent from the Roman Church, the Lutheran Church, the Church of Calvin was to risk your life, to risk imprisonment or exile or burning at the stake. From those early generations of religious freedom fighters to these later times when the seekers come to our congregations, leaving the traditions of their childhood and all the pain and struggles that implies, ours is an enterprise involving courageous dreams, courageous risk. Simply choosing to be here, for many of us, involves some form of risk, of urgent action, seeking to restore ourselves to the beauty of a life without fear. Ours is a saving church, and by that I mean that lives are saved within it. People say that, they use that old vocabulary. They say, "I never knew a place like this where I could be accepted." They say, "I never knew there could be a congregation that believed as I do." They say, "I walked out of church as soon as I was old enough, but until I came here, I had no idea how deeply I was longing for connection to other people and to also to the sacred." They say, "I was a spiritual shipwreck and I'm still drifting, but at least at last I have a home." For me, it was astonishing to discover this tradition. I was a young campus minister in the liberal Christian world, feeling and believing to my core that there are many, many pathways to enlightenment, and feeling at times like I was the only person around who understood this clear truth. It was a lonely space to be in at times, one I know many of you can relate to in your own way. So a couple decades ago, when I was asked by my good friend and longtime colleague Claire Zoke, on behalf of Channing Murray Board of Directors, if I would supervise the first in a series of UU seminarians who were doing internships in campus ministry, after agreeing to take this on, I was curious to learn more. And so while preparing to meet the first seminarian by the name of Matt Tittle, I came around the works of William Ellery Channing one fall afternoon. A whole new door opened for me. Here was someone in print, someone who wrote in 1819, asking the burning questions that I'd been asking alone for years, doubting the truths that I'd been doubting for decades, clearly defining the moral ideas, the theological ideas that I'd been harboring all along as a single soul on a lone island surrounded by a seemingly endless sea. Ours is a saving church, and it's a church that acts. It's a church that acts urgently and courageously, and in the process of transforming fear into beauty. For where there is pain and suffering and injustice in this community and around this globe, UUs are there. Boots on the ground, working side by side, hand in hand with people of the area to help, to empower, to resource, to encourage, to befriend. This is a saving church, and this is a church that acts. This is also a church that asks and wonders, unafraid of questions that might go unanswered, unafraid of answers that might challenge its assumptions. In Channing's words, it will not content itself with passive or hereditary faith, but opens itself to light whensoever it may. It does not mechanically copy the past, but listens for the new, higher monitions of conscience, unquote. This is a church that asks how it might be possible to continue to be relevant, so when the 4 little ones that were dedicated in the fall come to age, they might wish to be a part of it. This is a church that asks how it can serve Ethan and Eleanor and Harlan and Lavender well, now, today, while they are small children, and right into their old age, which none of us will be around to see. For we do not know what challenges they will face. How will we encourage their unspeakable questions? How will we nourish their sense of justice, their love of freedom, their faith, their spirit, their courage and wisdoms, and most of all, their hope? What songs will we teach them to sing? What prayers will we offer from our own hearts as examples? This is a saving church, a church that acts, and a church that asks. These are some of the reasons why so many of us are a part of it and contribute to its thriving whatever ways we can. This is the reason why I came out of retirement to journey with you for a while. Only you would I do this. These are some of the reasons why we have Generosity Sundays like today and the next 3 Sundays. These are some of the reasons why so many of us care so deeply about this congregation and how we hope and pray and work to strengthen it so it'll thrive and dream. How do you make a legacy with the precious life that is yours to live and give? Some people play cello in extraordinary venues. Others risk their lives, their selves, their souls in congregations, struggling against the odds to be who they are, who they're called to be, trying to help them understand and grow and move ahead and risk. Others will give of their time, treasure, and talent to continue the life-giving mission our predecessors dared to put in action in their time by using the stuff of their lives. All of this is generosity. It does not occur by accident, however spontaneous it looks. These acts are intentional, sometimes even sacrificial, always with their eyes not on themselves or simply what's in it for me, but on some higher noble vision of co-creating something larger and further reaching than self, creating legacy, creating possibilities for tomorrow's dreams of future generations, of placing oneself in the camp of the ancestors, imagining and sending forth love to the descendants of tomorrow. Some who can give time or money. Some teach their children old and simple songs of old and not so simple struggles. The musica ad hominem that's sung in every language, so that when new struggles come, those children will have something to fall back on, a tradition of freedom and justice. Some support the congregation they believe in simply with their presence, which is all they can give, and which is enough, and which is in and of itself that makes this place holy. Somewhere this morning there is a young adult, perhaps in Sarajevo, perhaps in Belgrade, maybe in some far-off place she was brought to as a refugee. She is 28, 29, or 30, and in her mind she is remembering a phrase of sad and wondrous music which she heard when she was very small and very scared. She is wanting to pass this memory on of a cello and hauntingly beautiful melody that gave her real hope through her childhood, to pass it on to her children, wondering how she's going to learn to play the cello, how she will take lessons, because this gift was given to her on purpose, with intention, by a man she doesn't know, who received it from his father, who received it from someone long ago. They passed it on as she now passes it on, and all of this by their love and integrity, their courage and generosity, with time, treasure, and talent that was theirs to give. She dreams as our church's children dream, and their children will one day dream, with hope of a brighter future full of possibility, of a world of peace and equity, of a planet that is whole and brimming with well-being, a world that this congregation and so many others continues to strive to co-create and design together. So, my friends, let us dare to dream together, side by side, with the children here that we are privileged to journey with, and the countless more we will never know. Let us dare to boldly dream and courageously move forward for them, for us, and for the future generations beyond time's horizons, who will giggle and play in these halls and sing to these rafters, whose parents will light candles under this rose window and hope for their families, their own lives and communities, as they too honor the legacy we who are here today will pass forward into their dreams together. Thank you for your kind attention. Amen. Let us now join in singing. Those who are comfortable doing so, stand. Come sing a song with me. Come dream a dream with me as MR leads us. Thank you.
346 instead of 364. So 346 if you want to open your hymnal. We'll sing the first verse, the third verse, and then the second verse. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll rose in the winter time. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you home when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you home when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time.
Please be seated. Thank you, MR and Juan. For our chalice extinguishing, I'm going to read, and then I will go like this, and then you'll join with the words that will be up on the screen, just so we're together in this. As we extinguish our chalice and go out into our lives, together we ask, give us the spirit of the child. Give us the child who lives within. The child who imagines, the child who sings, the child who receives without reservation, the child who gives without judgment. Give us a child's eyes, that we may receive the beauty and freshness of this day like a sunrise. Give us a child's ears, that we may hear the music of mythical times. Give us a child's heart, that we may be filled with wonder and delight. And give us a child's faith, that we may be cured of our cynicism. Give us the spirit of a child who is not afraid to need, who is not afraid to love. Together, we ask that as we move into our future, give us a child's courageous dreams to see things as they could be, without cynicism or fear. May it be so. Amen.